Hey, welcome to the Introverted Conversations podcast. I am your host and introvert bestie, Carmenrene. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Introverted Conversations podcast, where we are committed to removing the misconceptions placed upon introverts and connecting with individuals who has or have the introvert personality to share their own stories and give their own perspectives of how they navigate in an extroverted world and living their best life. Again, I am your host, your introvert bestie and confidence mentor for introverted women, Carmen Renee. It is just me today on this episode, but I promise there will be guests invited to join the podcast to share their stories again about navigating in society as an introvert and engaging in various conversations and various topics that we have on the show. And in the podcast bio, actually, I have information on how to contact the show if you want to be a guest. And so today's episode is about us introverts, and I say us because I'm including myself, acknowledging the fact that we have superpowers, and sometimes we hide them because society and social media has defined how introverts should be treated based on our personality. So there's an abundance of misconceptions that I will continue to clear up and share with introverts as well as others. And so, speaking of social media, every now and then I get inspired by someone's post that I see. It could be anyone, a friend, celebrity, coach, artist, whoever. Inspiration, I feel anyway, can come from anyone and anywhere. And so I recently saw a post that David Mann, aka Mr. Brown, the character that Tyler Perry developed on TikTok, he posted something on TikTok. And when I watched this video, I just thought, like, wow, just look at him enjoying his life, or what it appears to be him enjoying his life. Now, I don't know his full story, of course. I'm sure there were many trials and tribulations, as everybody has, to get to the point that he currently is. But you can just literally see the excitement gushing from his body movement, from the content that he was sharing. And it just appeared that he was enjoying it, enjoying being his true, authentic self, and just having the ability to embrace the blessings that the universe gave to him to be able to do what he was created to do. And I just took a moment and thought, I cannot wait to be able to fully identify my full purpose in life and be able to operate in it. I feel like I am to a certain extent, but I don't think I'm fully operating in it because I'm still learning. And I just feel that would be so amazing and dope. But when I tell you I'm ready to be open to whatever I'm supposed to be assigned to, I'm like ready. But, and here's the but, here's what I know to be the challenge for me and introverts like myself or who can relate to me. And so I'll just say society and culture has these rules, right? For everybody, but specifically for introverts, that tells us or tell me that we have to act a certain way to be accepted, or we are a certain way because of our personality. We're like put into this box of boring that's labeled, quote, this is you introvert, unquote. And to exist in this introverted world, you have to be loud, bold, extra, etc., in order to be seen, acknowledged, or accepted. And I have to admit that kind of pisses me off, because most of us, we're not those things or have that personality. And because of that, it appears that people seem to turn a blind eye, especially in corporate America and in business. And the truth is, us, meaning me and other introverts, have the necessary skills and talents. We are super smart and creative, just like introverts, but we get overlooked. And so we don't, or we feel like we don't have the opportunity to operate in our true authenticity, just like I mentioned, like David Mann was doing in his post. And so then it becomes this feeling of fear and overwhelming negative feelings, because we process and give out energy in a different way that a lot of individuals don't understand. And that is where a lot of the misconceptions are created. And it prevents a lot of introverts from having the lifestyles that we desire. And it crushes our confidence, because we feel like we have to operate in a certain way, or, as I mentioned, society has defined what our personality is, and which I said many times is not true. But can I tell you about the talents and superpowers of introversion or introverts? And if you are an introvert and you have yet to realize your superpowers as an introvert, raise your hand. It's okay to raise your hand. And in terms of superpowers, I'm speaking in terms of your given talents, your gifts, and skills. Everybody has them, but sometimes we need a little bit extra assistance to identify what they are. And to be honest, a lot of the times we already know what we are already operating in them, but we just haven't defined them. And maybe sometimes we don't give them a name because, we just do what we do, business as usual, but we haven't realized that it's a gift. No one can do what we do. So for me, some may know that I am an introvert, but I'm also a multi-potentialite, aka multipod. And if you're not familiar with the personality of a multipod, it's simply someone who is multi-talented. I don't want to fit into one specific box. I'm a creative. I love working on multiple things or projects. I have many passions or creative pursuits. That is what fuels me. That is what gives me energy. Being an introvert and a multipod are my superpowers. But the challenge with having this personality is again that society tells me that I have to be this one thing. I have to be an expert of one. I have to be a specialist versus a generalist. So that has become challenging in many areas of my life. And I'm sure others can relate. I'll give you an example. If you're still in corporate America, as I am, when you look for a career, oftentimes you have to maybe portray, or you may even be an expert in a certain field or subject area for this one particular role. But for me, the thought becomes, what if I'm an expert over many things? Do I just pick only one? And then how do I interview for a certain position when I know that I have all these superpowers, all these talents? And just for me, it's always been difficult to interview because I had to make myself focused on this one position and present myself in a manner to show the interviewer that I was the person for that job based on the skills for that one position. And I get it. If you're going for a position, you should know the position. You should be the expert. But I guess I'm saying that I've always had a hard time finding a position because I was talented in so many areas, if that makes sense. And so when I did interview, knowing that it was just challenging for me to just pull out all of my skills and knowledge for that one position. I hope that makes sense. And still to this day, even though I've been in corporate America for a while and have worked in several different industries, I still have a hard time doing interviews. And then let's talk about it from a business side of things, from a business owner or entrepreneur perspective. And the fact that some coaches, the experts, often tell us business owner to niche or niche down, however you say it, when you're building a business. And to a certain extent, I do understand why they say that. So you won't be all over the place and you need to know what audience you're speaking to. But as a multipod like myself, that translates to me as I have to sometimes dumb down my gifts and pick one and focus on one. And just sometimes, again, that's very hard for people like me to do. So the question becomes, how do we navigate as an introvert and or a multipod with many superpowers, talents, gifts, creativity given to us by the universe, and exist and thrive in a world full of extroverts that oftentimes fault you for being an introvert. And so I can tell you for sure that it starts with self-awareness, self-confidence, and an overall mindset shift. If you have interest in being confident and being social in an extroverted world, unlocking your potential and removing the fear from sharing your gifts with the world, and just living your best life according to your own terms, blocking out the noise of society standards and cultural biases. And I actually recently responded to, or will respond to, a young lady who posted her frustrations in this community that I follow. And she simply said, let me get my paper so I can read it. She simply said, I get a bit frustrated at myself. I love spending time alone so much, but I want to try and socialize more and be more comfortable being an introvert. A lot of my friends go out every day and do lots of socializing, but it just sounds exhausting and I don't know how they do it. And so for some introverts, the thought of socializing in any aspect is or can be draining and exhausting. But again, if you're an introvert who wants to be more sociable, who wants to build the confidence to put yourself out there, to navigate through different areas of your life and your career and business and building relationships, whether it's business or romantic, you have to shift your mindset. And so what I will be suggesting to her is I'm going to simply say, because you have an interest in becoming more sociable like myself and living your best life as an introvert, here's a couple recommendations. So I'm just going to tell her it starts with planning. A big part of getting comfortable navigating in different areas of your life is planning. And that first start with your mental state. Just take it slow. And here's the word, and some people don't understand why introverts have to recharge. In certain situations, just talking drains us because, again, our energy comes from a different place. So recharge before socializing. I'm also going to tell her to, in her particular situation, to prepare some small talk questions or conversation starters in the event that things get awkward or have periods of silence. Again, when you're just getting out there and you want to be more sociable, when you want to be involved, things can become awkward because you're not used to that, and you feel like, to you, there's a brief moment of silence. So if you prepare early with having your small talk questions or conversation starters, it tends to make things a little easier. And I'm also going to suggest to her to start with a small group or one person. Putting yourself out there in a huge group may have a negative impact because of the anxiety that comes with being in a larger group. So again, you don't always have to start with the large group. Start with a small group or one person, and start with a environment that excites you or that you're comfortable with. Again, it's all about you. There's no rush. Take your time. And most importantly, I'm going to recommend to her just to be okay with stepping outside your comfort zone. Just remember to have fun. And then, as always, a lot of introverts like myself, we have to recharge or refuel afterwards. And you have to know that is okay to do. And people who are for you and people who really wants to understand you will understand that. Again, like myself and most introverts, we just want people to understand. We want to be heard. We want to be understood. And we don't want to be put in a box that by society's standards or what society has defined for us. Like again, like I said earlier, most people, for some reason, I don't know. It just seems like they put introverts in this category that is such a negative impact. Again, we are smart, we are talented, we are creative, we are skillful, and you as an introvert, you have to tell yourself that you are worthy and you have talents just like everybody else. And you should require that people treat you as such. But again, it starts with confidence. You as an individual have to learn how to build that confidence in yourself. There are so many resources out there that will support you in doing so. And I'll just plug myself in, my course in. I have 2 courses coming up. One is called Grow, Introvert, Grow. And it's sort of a guideline, if you will, to help you to do the shadow work or introspective work on identifying and unlocking your true purpose. There will be exercises on how to help you build more confidence. And it also will go into more in depth about the advantages of an introvert. The second course is called Building a Business as an Introvert, where I will share my personal story as being an introvert and multi-pod and building a business. And then I also will give, some recommendations, and there will be some exercises to help introverted business owners on their journey as well. My website link is in the bio and the description. So just click on that link to subscribe, and you'll be notified when those courses are available. And so I hope that this podcast has helped you or the listener in some kind of way. I hope I provided some value to you. I would definitely recommend that you download, save, or share this podcast, because sometimes you just have to hear things more than once in order for your brain to be like, okay, I got it. And also share with other introverts or someone who you know is trying to understand the introvert personality. And so that is all that I have for episode 4. Introversion is one of your superpowers. I'm going to sign off for now, but feel free to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at I am carmenrene, one E on Renee, or Introverted Conversations on Facebook and Instagram as well. You can also follow me on my business page on Facebook and Instagram at My Blissful Essential and My Blissful Essentials with the S on TikTok. So until next time, always remember to operate in your true authenticity. Remember that life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And also remember that happiness is free. Stay blessed. Peace out.